Alrighty guys, with the standard pool updating in like 4 days time, I thought it was the perfect time to rank every character coming to see who's worth your shards and who's worth your tickets, right? So before we get any further, please black flash like months of content and let's go. Alright, so we have the pool down here, right? So we have what, like 9 characters are dropping, which, you know, it's a pretty nice batch. I did wish they'd add guys like Blue Inu Maki, you know, who else, like Red Mine, guys like that. But right now, just these, right? So let's get right into it. First, we have Blue Miwa, okay? Probably the weakest of the bunch, or one of the weakest of the bunch, I can't lie. You know, not a crazy character, but please do not put a I know you won't anyway. I know my viewers aren't that stupid, right? Do not put a dupe in Miwa, please, bro. She's not worth it at all, right? You know, just her role in general, she's not a DPS, so she's not worth a dupe anyway, because, you know, dupes increase stats and the damage and all that. And if you're not, you know, doing higher numbers, or that's not her point, not needed, right? But as a character, she's nothing like, you know, too terrible, right? I think Nah is like main, because if you don't have her and you pull her, you know, she could find some use in tower. I'm not sure how much use with Sukuna and Blue Numaki and Blue Geto and Blue Momo, you know what I mean? But she could have some use, so I put her in okay pick because she's an okay character, nothing crazy, but yeah. Alright, so next we have Green SR Gakuganji, you know, probably like the most sought after SR character in the game because he's not in the standard pool, right? So I've got his stuff up here because I don't have him, you know, so he's a bit, you know, hard to talk about. But in short, he's just your standard debuffer, right? But he's actually a very good one. Number one, like, you know, like very easy to dupe out, right? And you can use those blue recollection bit stuff to exchange for SR fragments and do it like that, because I doubt you want to use your shards on an SR, but you can do that, right? And as for his skills, he's just the average little debuffer, right? So skill 1, if he's in his alternate tuning state, he can increase damage received by 10%, and which will go to 15, which is not too bad, right? For a 0 curse energy skill 1. And also here he'll decrease the Jujutsu stat by 15%, which is also not too bad, right? And this is a tuning, right? So this is what's gonna activate the tuning stuff. It will increase his Jujutsu. Not really need that much because he's not really there for damage, but skill 3 as well does a bit of damage. And then also here increases all enemies taijutsu and Jujutsu damage received by 37.6%, which is actually pretty good, right? So for 4 turns as well, you can stack that up. Your boys, you know, will do some nice numbers. And then if it's in the alternate state, he'll do confusion and stun, which is not too bad, I guess. And then on his ult too, he'll just decrease damage dealt by 50%, which is actually like really good, right? So nice for a bit of stalling, I guess. And then if the alternate tuning, he'll do a bit more damage and decrease ult count, which can have its uses too. Always love the good old, you know, decrease ult count option. And auto skills are pretty bare, right? But as for like what he is, right, an SR debuffer, after this update, he's very accessible. So I think honestly he's gonna be a must-have. I would say dupe because, you know, it doesn't hurt to dupe a SR character, but that dupe is more for the shop, for the SSR ones, right? So I think must-have is very fair, you know, dupe again for the SSR characters. Alright, we have Green Mai next, okay? Green Mai, you know, by all means, not a bad character at all. She's a nice pickup, you know. She's just, you know, got her own little funky kit where you swap kills, skill 3 for the break damage and all that stuff, right? She's just your average green, you know, physical DPS, right? And with guys like SP buff Zone Yuji out, and even like SP buff Green Nanami, she hasn't really got much use if you have them two already. Unless maybe there's a tower floor coming out where you can't use curse energy or something. Maybe that will like give her some use, but right now we're pretty much spoiled for options for green melee characters, so I don't really see much use for her. She's a nice character, you know, if you don't want to put all your chaotic, your chaos shards into Yuji and Nami to get their skills level 10, you can use her, you know, it is definitely a choice if you want to, right? I think okay pickup is good for her because she already has kind of her uses kind of filled out, but still an okay character, right? Alright, we have Green Saki next, right? And that's similar with Green Maki. She, I guess she has got kind of already stuff covered for her, but she's actually really good with her SP buff. She can like you know, tanks and stuff, do some actually decent numbers as well. While, you know, I think she has a res as well, so she's got a pretty stacked out kit. I think she's going to go a bit higher and very good, because her dupes probably has a bit more value if you want dupes of her than Maki, because her role is a bit different to, say, Green Yuji or Green Anami. I probably wouldn't run her first choice Green anyway, with guys like Green Shoko coming out, but again, she's an okay choice. Don't dupe her though, but she's, you know, if you don't have her and you pull her, very nice, right? But don't, like, chase for her, if you know what I mean. Unless you really like her. If you like her, by all means. Alright, next we have Red Toji, okay? He's, you know, by far my most wanted from this, you know, update. My boy, you know, he just does some crazy numbers, right? And, you know, I think he came out in a time where we were, like, you know, drained of our cubes on global. He has had a couple reruns, but who actually, like, summons on those, right? But Toji, my boy, I want him so bad from my tickets on that video. If I pull him, oh, that's gonna be crazy. But anyway, right, so obviously with the dupes, he's gonna be high priority because he's the first of everyone on this list who's a major DPS. And as for Red physical, there's obviously maybe, like, who is there? Jumper Yuji, but Toji's better. And then I don't even, who else is Red physical? Jumper Yuji, I guess Yuta's hybrid, and Maya, right? But Maya's more debuff. So Toji's role hasn't been, like, completely taken yet, and he can, like, pair himself well with, say, the Teen Anami coming out on global in next month or so. So with the perfect setup, this dude's gonna be an absolute beast. Even without the perfect setup, he's still a really good character. I think, honestly, he is a great choice for duping. If you pull him, I recommend it. If you're gonna pull him and then dupe him, I recommend it too. Great choice. You know, a lot of us don't have him, so, you know, I pray we can get him. Alright, next we have Teen Gojo, okay? My glorious king, my goat, whatever, right? This is probably my favorite character in the game right now, on global at least. He's such a cool character. Probably get phased out soon with High Gojo coming out, but similar with Toji, the dupes will do him a world of good, because obviously the DPS guys benefit more from the dupes, because, you know, the debuffs don't increase with the dupes, but you know, the damage is more noticeable, right? So that's why you want to dupe your Nuka guys more. But it was more the reason why, like, say for example, you use your character shards on, like, Zone Yuji and Sukuna over Domain Gojo, because even though he does do nice damage, Zone G and Sukuna would benefit more, right? Similar with this, Teen Gojo is going to be on the dupe spot, because especially if you don't have Zone Yuji, I get he's getting a rerun, but with, you know, High Gojo, Shoko, and Anami coming out, I don't know if we're going to have much chance to actually summon on Zone G if you don't have him already. So, as a second yellow DPS, your next best bet after Zone Yuji is obviously Teen Gojo, right? If not him, you can say maybe, like, Yellow Nanami, I guess, but besides that, not really anything that crazy coming out for yellow. I'd personally think the second anime character, the main one's gonna be yellow, but we'll see, right? But Teen Gojo, another great dupe option, because obviously, you know, more damage, right? And we all love damage. Oh, we have yellow SSR LeBron, aka Yaga next, right? This dude will be great for a lot of us. I don't have him. I didn't pull Shoko, so as a yellow buffer, I kind of need him, you know. For my mono yellow team, my closest thing to a buffer right now is Kaido, right? And that's rare Kaido, so I low-key need him, bro. Domain Megami, you know, he's there, but he's more of a debuffer. And, bro, Shoko was so essential. I wish I got her. Damn, bro. I might do a paid summon, you know. I actually might, but Yaga's gonna be good now for the center pool yellow option. I don't even have Momo yet, so I don't know my chance of actually pulling Yaga, but we'll see what happens, right? And, you know, his debuffs are nice as well. I'd say he's more of a debuffer than an actual buffer, but he just, like, buffs passively, right? So I'd say for the average yellow team, he's probably a must-have, you know, especially if you don't have Shoko. Even with Shoko, he'll still be a good choice for, you know, for tower and sweep and all that. So easy must-have for me. Not really a duping option though, because you don't really want to dupe a debuffer like that, because I'd rather just dupe an attacker, get more value out of the dupe, you know what I mean? So must have, there we go. Alright, so we have Teen Geto next. Similar with these two up here as well. He's actually a fantastic character. I'm sure you guys know his debuffs, whether it be for physical technique or curse technique. He's a great debuffer, you know. He can do some nice damage on ult as well, but he's not a damage guy like Toji and Team Gojo are, so he's not really worth the dupe in my opinion. If you have like high dupes in, you know, Toji and Gojo, and not really any dupes in Geto, I say maybe go for it then. But either way, if you pull him, and if you like pull a dupe, very nice, right? But I would not recommend going to your shards and duping him through there, because DPS is always better, right? So with that reason, must have is still, you know, perfect for him. I could argue Saki's even this level as well, but I think the buffers right now are a bit more important, so I'll leave Saki down there for now. But that's very fair for me. Again, very good value, but not worth the, you know, the shard dupe in my opinion. Alright, last we have blue Nanami. Okay, green Nanami is my op. Don't even get me started. Alright, but blue Nanami, he's just your average blue DPS. Nothing crazy at all, right? He just, you know, he can help you with on like a few tower floors, but nothing crazy at all. I'd put him easily okay pick up level, because if you pull him, you know, nice if you don't have him. But if you know, I pull in dupes of him, you're like, why game? You know what I mean? And you're not going to put any shards. I can guarantee nobody in their right state of mind is putting a shard into him. So that's why he's in okay. He can probably reach like very good levels. Probably same as Maki as well. But I think that's fair, because their roles again are a bit more filled up compared to Saki. But I guess he has got some value in physical technique. I don't know what other blue guy fills that role. Maybe blue Yuji, but I put him over him. But I don't know. But yeah, I say either way, blue's probably fair for now. Yeah, I'm okay with that. So yeah. So okay, pickup's fair for me right now. But that is the tier list, boys. Quick little, you know, ranking of who you should invest your shards into, and the overall, you know, vibe of the center pool update. Obviously, I'm so, you know, happy that it's coming this early for global. You know, JP had to wait like 1.5 years. We've waited, you know, like 7 months, right? So it's been really good for us. But that's all for today's video, boys. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to black flash, like my content, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.